All right, and we're back.
Oh, welcome back. Welcome back.
All right. So this is our little after party show, right? What happens every week, right? We do the show. It's about an hour, and then we sit here for like another 2 hours, continuing the conversation. So we figure we just
and they were like, "Why did we record that?" And so here we are recording that.
Yep. So we'll just record it and everything. Generally on the topic of whatever, but thank you.
It's a great topic.
It was a good conversation. And how do you feel it flowed?
I feel it went great, and I was actually just saying, like, thank you so much for coming on. Like, I learned so much, and I'm so excited to, like, implement some of this, or at least figure out how to implement some of this. So, yeah.
Well, you should have came to the Althea Midwest Summit over the past few days. We spent 2 full days, and they came to Detroit, and I worked them so hard. I didn't give them any breaks or anything. I was like, all right, we're done here. We got to go over here and do this. All right, now we got to go over here and do this.
I wanted to, but remember when I said I'm an everyday mother? Remember that part? Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't think I could have brought a young baby to that, but maybe I could have.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Could have, yeah.
Okay, good to
We
know.
always do family-friendly
because it's
stuff.
community. Like, that's the big part of this is that they don't. It's from the community up. Rather, it's building with the community, and that's what makes it so successful. I mean, every area, every community is different. It's going to look a little bit different. That's why we just do tools. It's the Legos. You got to build that network.
Well, that's good to know. I'm gonna bring her next time.
Welcome.
That's right. So yeah. Anybody got any? Go ahead. How did you guys feel about it?
I think it was very informative. I really enjoy listening to you guys and learning more about just crypto and just stuff that we don't know.
Yeah.
So.
You brought up the toll road thing, and now that's got
stuck on
my
it,
mind. I'm sort of stuck on how far off. Like, we need the infrastructure, like the smart city piece, to add the crypto. I don't think it works very well without the crypto piece, the instant micropayment piece.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, I think what's going to empower that is that what we're seeing is, you've heard of private LTE or private telecom, and then you heard of, carriers like Verizon, T-Mobile, that kind of thing. And those things were very separate, right?
Yeah.
But now there's some movements happening. Cores are like the technology is open source and more accessible, and we work with an EV company. That's an electric vehicle company. They make vehicles, and they're like, we're going to be spending billions of dollars over the next 10 years, and our connectivity costs for all these OTA updates, all these things are really expensive. And so when you have a budget of a couple $2 billion and you say, shoot, maybe I could build my own infrastructure for that, and then you have a system like Althea that lets you monetize that by passing traffic by nearby houses, then that blend starts to become a little more fuzzy, and then we start to really get this vision, like you're saying, of infrastructure where there's a wallet in the car, there's a wallet in the charging station, there's the city has a wallet that runs their infrastructure, their smart cities infrastructure, and everybody can sort of permissionlessly connect. And I think we're a lot closer than you think, and I think there is going to be these incentives that push it along. One, these just inefficiencies in the current system. And two, private companies going, oh, hey, wait, that's a lot of money. I don't have to pay that to AT&T or Verizon.
So where we're in a studio in Southfield, Michigan. It's this like 14-story building, right?
Yeah.
So this is one of the things I've been talking to them about here. So like theoretically, right, you're here in this building. They could set up an antenna. They can run their own network that's run off the, an Althea architecture. You have this neighborhood right here, right? So not only could they power all of their offices, they could help their community get access to the internet. Then right here is a freeway.
Yeah.
And so with it, and this is again why I think it's important to use open permissionless blockchain infrastructure for this stuff. So theoretically, right, if there was a toll road, not only could you do that, what you had just said, so these people here, you could offshoot some of that bandwidth problem, that's what we were talking about even with the AI stuff, to people who live near a freeway. They could be incentivized to earn by helping this company process those transactions, but also the city or the municipality or the state could be incentivized to say like, well, look, this is a toll road, but we also, right, they want people to follow traffic rules. And so, like with the insurance now, you can let your insurance track like your phone, so they can track your speed,
Right.
and they'll give you a deduction because they can see you're doing the speed limit. You could theoretically, a county could opt in, let people opt into that.
Not
People here would be
opting into
incentivized. No, but now imagine if you're a commuter, like I wouldn't do that because I don't live in a commuting city. I don't live in a city where I have to pay for commuting.
Right.
But I'm from upstate New York, and we have a major throughway. And from the west side of the state to the east side of the state, you're paying all the way through. They could say, like, we're going to give you 30, 40, 50% off of your toll fee if you opt into track, if you got to do this every day. And if we see that you're following the speed limit rules, we'll give you 30% off just for driving at the speed limit. I think there'd be millions of people who would do that.
Or like I think about like smart trash can, right? So like, you know, recycling our bottles and things like that, right? So people can go and just, you know, it's a big pain right now, right? all of the like, you know, you have to bag it up and take it to go. I don't know if you have, does Michigan have 5 cents or something for your plastics recycling?
For
Only
bottles
for-
and stuff, 10 cents, yeah.
10 cents, right?
Aluminum cans and
But what if like there was
carbonated drinks?
you know, anybody could put up a connected smart trash can, and when you put the can in there, it just connected to your same wallet that you use for your internet, that you use for your car, and it just all is kind of connected, and you know, you can pay that up, and then the city, you know, of course, could also earn some from that too. And I think, you know, that's really where you get that pressure to move away from checks and credit cards and manual systems to like automatic ones.
I need to dig in because there was the running joke over the weekend about the lawnmowers.
Yeah.
Break it down for me so I can start preaching about lawnmowers too.
So really the lawnmower, so what we're going to, after this, about a week from now, I'm heading to Camden, Indiana, a little town of about, I think they're less than 500 people, right? But they're, it's corn and soy belt, right? And the pressures there are, you know, costs of fertilizer, certainly with the conflict that we've had, that's been a piece of that. And then also manual labor. So they're really looking at how do we do automated combines, how do these things happen, and but connectivity is a big piece of that. You don't really have an automated vehicle if you don't have it connected to something. You can't send it anywhere. You don't know where it is. So I'm sorry, we're getting to the lawnmowers. Hold with me now.
I'm with you.
So we're going to be setting up a demonstration of these automatic, you know, automated vehicles that move and collect the, you know, harvest the corn or distribute fertilizer very selectively. And then that's all hooked into the wallet system too. So if people if you say, hey, now I can see that the corn has been harvested, a payment can happen automatically. And we're really thinking, okay, well, how do we show that in other places? How do I go around? We're going to be showcasing some of that for the retailers that offer dish services. Like, how do I show how this works for them? And they have these really great, like Roomba-looking automated lawnmowers that are connected in with 4G LTE, and you know, so we can have our neighborhood infrastructure connect up the connected lawnmowers, and that really emulates a lot what would happen in the smart agriculture sector.
Right.
But another cool thing that I envision could happen is you could have a little gig economy of connected electric lawnmowers. And, you know, they could just be driving down the street, you know, and be like, oh, hey, honey, look, the lawnmower's here. Do we want, like the ice cream man?
Yeah.
You know? Do you want to pay for our lawn to be mowed? And you could just hit an app that has your wallet connected. It would pay the lawnmower. Maybe it's a community-owned lawnmower service.
Yeah.
And the thing would mow your lawn and go on to the next house, you
Did
know,
you just
all
invent
automated.
Uber for lawnmowers?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Uber for lawnmower, all automated. It's owned by a community. Maybe it's a cooperative. Like, oh, we own a co-op. We own a lawnmower co-op, and you just be, you know, walking down the street, gonna move out of the way of the sidewalk because there's a little lawnmower going along.
Now, I've seen that in one regard that sort of sounds silly, but in another regard, I've been watching videos of like they've robotized their garbage cans. Right? People hate getting up at 6 a.m. and bring the garbage can to the corner, but especially if you live someplace with an HOA, right? That you can't put your garbage can out at night, so it's either get up before the trash comes or don't get trash taken out. So they built these little things that, it's this time, zzz, drives out, drives back. So
And it
that
parks itself. Yeah, I've seen that.
So that's a real thing. So why not the lawnmower thing?
Yeah. Or like, have you seen the little robots for Uber Eats, the little delivery robots?
Oh, yeah.
I saw
They're
one
super
for the
cute.
first time in real life, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was driving down the street downtown, and I was like, what is that thing? It's just running around people. It hit a fence for a second and and figured its way out.
Wow.
Yeah.
But, and what if we could own those cooperatively? Like, what if the local, or what if the local farming co-op could own them, right? And, then it goes and delivers your vegetables and things like that to your, and it has a wallet in it. So there's no, like, having to send an invoice or anything like that. It's just, like, it notices that you took your box of veggies, and that happens seamlessly.
Well, right. And
it's connected to the community-owned, decentralized infrastructure.
well, that's what I was going to say. One thing I noticed with Althea is I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, it feels like a lot of the innovation came from the rural perspective, but what you do in a rural area, those same problems, the why is a little different, but the problem is the same in inner city urban areas, right? We have, in Detroit, there's massive food deserts. There is no
Same.
actual grocery store in a food desert. I think by definition it means a mile or a mile and a half without an actual grocery store. There's mini markets that are, really gas stations or something like that, or liquor stores, but there's no grocery store. We have tons of those areas here.
Right.
Now, if you had that community, we can go to Amazon to build that robot. Now you're just, we're just shifting it from whatever the local thing was to an Amazon overseer. Right. Or you could have that community-based thing. I'm thinking of all the elderly people who can't get to the grocery store.
Yeah.
They don't have a car. So the option is, all right, well, there's no grocery store in walking. There's not one a couple blocks.
Right.
I got to get on a bus, travel 5 miles to a grocery store, come back with all these groceries. How many groceries is a 75-year-old lady or guy going to be able to bring back on a bus?
Yeah.
Then go from the bus stop back to their house, which is 4
Even
blocks
just
away
a
from the bus
regular
stop.
person, like, that sounds so annoying to me. Like, I wouldn't even want to do that.
Well, there's the annoyance, but then there's the actual utility. It's an
Yeah.
annoyance for you and me, but there's the actual utility. They can't walk.
Yeah.
They have, they're on a crutch, they're in a wheelchair, you got people who are disabled. Imagine you had that Amazon robot system, the lawnmower thing, but just for that.
Yeah.
That's
Well, and it
huge.
really comes down to, like, we saw this in the pandemic as well. Like, people that were going to the library, I mean, if it's in the winter or during pandemic, or you couldn't. And we talked about this too. About 25% of New Yorkers, at least back in 2021, Detroit folks didn't have access to the internet at their home.
Right.
So it's really about ubiquitous connectivity and that like you said, that utility of everything sort of connected in a holistic way.
That just sounds like the perfect ending.
Yeah. Except for I have questions.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I know. Okay, so the things that kind of going on in my head is I have like an entrepreneurial mind, and I'm always like looking for my next like little side hustle, or like thinking about like,
Getting into some lawnmowers now, aren't you?
well, yes, but also like, so then I think, like, would this kind of a society like lower cost of everything because we have like robots doing it as opposed to manual labor?
I think it creates some really interesting market dynamics. So the very first example I said is, like, we know when we allow participation by more entities, right? We have an open marketplace and people can just sort of come, and that market dynamics make costs lower. This is what happened at the internet exchanges. Bandwidth costs have been lower year over year over year,
Right.
except for over here at the last mile. But when you have market dynamics start to take place, it's easier for competitors to come along. Yeah. So I think, empirically we can follow that as more people can participate, costs will go down.
And then also my next question is, if you have like robot lawnmowers, what does somebody who owns a landscaping company, what do they do do they just like
They deploy a
they
lot
buy
of-
the robots?
Yeah,
Or
nice.
Yeah,
it
there's-
becomes more of like a owning and like leasing kind of society rather than like a manual labor. Like,
So like,
Well, that's coming.
yeah.
I mean, that's just
I mean,
the
I
reality.
want that.
Here-
Like,
here's
who wants
the
to do
thing,
manual
like-
labor? You know, like,
Like-
I'm for it, but
a couple hundred years ago, if you wanted to maintain some kind of yardage, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had to pull out an ox, this huge rig,
Mm-hmm.
and cut. Then somebody figured out some basic mechanics and was like, hey, you don't need the ox. Think of the overhead cost of owning an ox, feeding
Yeah,
it,
right.
housing it. What happens when it gets older, right? You got to get new oxes. So we got this mechanism you can just push.
Right.
You don't need an ox to pull it. You can
Right.
just push it. And then somebody else came along and said, hey, you can motorize it.
yeah,
So the push is way easier. You're just sort of guiding it.
yeah,
And now we have, I think they probably have, because you got basically the Roomba for grass cutting. I'm sure they have those systems now where it's like, hey, just set this off in this closed space and it'll be like a Roomba and cut. That's not the best design. Now it's how do you monetize that electric thing,
Yeah.
right? So the question was like, well, what did landscaping companies do? They do the same thing they've been doing for hundreds and hundreds of years. You adopt to innovation.
Yeah.
Everyone's in a panic about ChatGPT. Everybody except for mathematicians who are like, yeah, been there, done that. You heard of the calculator?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's like, this is just calculator for language.
yeah,
Yeah.
Right? You innovate and, you can't become a Luddite.
Yeah.
Right? Being
Yeah.
afraid of modern technology, thinking we'll all be useless now.
Yeah. I just wanted to address it because I feel like people do think about this and they kind of are a little apprehensive of saying it because they don't want to sound like the Luddite, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they should ask, but the best evidence you have total speculation, and everything talking about the future is speculation.
Yeah.
But it's like, now what are you basing the speculation off? You can base it off of history, or you can base it off of imagination. I tend to base it off of history, and historically, every time we've made huge increases in innovation, it didn't end the world.
Yeah.
It didn't end humans' usefulness.
Yeah.
It becomes maybe it'll become more challenging. I won't be like, oh, it's going to be a cakewalk,
Yeah.
but we've survived.
In many ways, I think it is like almost a printing press moment, though, right? Because before access to, reading was mostly just the elite, right? And then,
Yeah.
Gutenberg came along. Of course, reading became more accessible. It didn't come all right at once, it took hundreds of years and before more texts were available to more people. But overall, that was it created a lot more equitable access. And so the ChatGPT automation, as long as we make it accessible for more people, I think
Yeah.
will allow, more people to participate in the economies, more businesses to form, innovation to happen. It's going to be but I do think it is such a critical moment that we take back and participate in that power, and that we're absolutely unrelenting about equitable access, because otherwise, power shifts the way it does, and power tends to centralize. So we have to, this is a really, to your point, I think this is a moment of vigilance. It's a moment to, really set our foot down about where the power dynamic should be.
That's right. Open distributed peer-to-peer systems is the answer.
Yeah.
All right. This time I'm calling it. We're going off.
I have no more questions, so you
Thank
can call it.
If you got
next
more
time.
questions, hit us up, theblocument.com or at theblocument anywhere, and go check out Althea Network
Yeah.
on Twitter or
I'm going to.
whatever. Yep. All right. Talk to everybody soon.
Thank you.